Well, hey everyone, just wanted to come to you today and talk a little bit about a subject that a lot of people have heard about, but they don't know exactly what it is. And that word is a dirty little word that we in the estate planning world call probate. And guess what? It's not just estate planning, it's actually just life. The word probate, a lot of people hear about it and most of the time, they have a negative experience with it. And there's a lot of reasons why they have negative experiences with it because it's a very negative thing. Probate is one of those things where if at all possible, you want to avoid it. So let's talk about it real quick. Just want to keep this video short. So what is probate? Probate actually is a word that goes back to the Latin, if you want to get fancy. So it is actually the word that means proof or proving. So what probate does, it actually proves whose property it was. Now, this is most of the time people think of death probate. There's actually living probate as well. We'll talk about that in another video. But today we're talking about death probate. So when you pass, when someone passes, if they don't have anything, or if they have a will, which again we'll talk about in future videos, their estate is going to go into probate. And that process is just proving whose property it was. Now, if you want to call some advantages, the advantages of probate is, yes, it does prove whose property it was. That is an advantage. Now, the other thing is that it does provide legal, if you want to call that an advantage, it provides the legal proof that a property belongs to someone. Now, it does create a forum for family and for creditors. It also does allow taxes and debts and things to be paid. That's, if you want to call that a positive. And also it does limit. It limits a judge, in this case, a probate judge, limits the time that people can come and bring arguments of, hey, they owe me this or that, and so on. A judge can say, we're going to limit that time to say 6 months or a year, depending on the situation. Now, there's some definite disadvantages of probate. Number one, and we'll probably in future videos talk about, maybe break some of these things down, but today's just a quick overall kind of an overview of what probate does. Now, the problem with probate is that it is expensive. It can range from 3 to 8, even 10% of an estate can, in essence, be eaten up in estate, like attorney fees or court costs. So when you consider the size of an estate, let's just use an easy round number, $100,000. If you have equity in your home, now keep in mind what does an estate, like what is an estate? That's another good question that we will address. But let's just say you have equity in a home and maybe you have some household things or collections or things like that, that maybe stocks and bonds outside of a retirement fund. All these things add up to an estate. Now, if that is an estate of $100,000, and instead of passing that $100,000 on to your children or whoever you wanted to pass that to, what if a lot of it was eaten up, like 10%? If you lost $10,000 for no reason other than not having a proper plan, that is a disadvantage of probate. Now, the other problem with probate is that it can take a lot of time. Probate typically minimum it takes about 6 months, but it can take 18 months up to 3 years for probate to be settled. A recent case of Aretha Franklin, it took 5 years to settle her estate simply because she did not have a trust. She had a will, and all wills are subject to probate. So it took 5 years and a lot of money to settle her estate. The other problem is that it's public record. Everything is made public, down to socials, down to who gets what and where they live, and all the details, all the nitty-gritty details are made public. That's not necessarily a good thing with today's, really, it's just identity theft, as crazy as it is. But imagine all that information being made public. That is a problem. The other thing is that you have to kind of keep in mind is that probate, you lose control. A judge and attorneys are really in the ultimate control because they can, especially if you don't have anything, they get to decide who gets what. And hopefully it goes the way that you want to, but it doesn't necessarily have to. And it's a big hassle. Probate is a hassle because it allows for a lot of family strife and a lot of confusion and just a lack of control. So probate does have its advantages, if you want to call it that, but to me, the disadvantages far, far outweigh the advantages. So I want to just kind of talk to you about that today. And we're going to dive into more details as time goes on with what probate is and how it's carried out and all the things like that. So and one thing I do want to leave you with is, if you need any guidance on what probate is, or am I going to be subject to probate? Is my estate going to be subject to probate? What I want you to do is just look down in the comments here and just comment something. Just say, hey, I want more information. You can reach out to me, send me a message through the page, and I'd be more than happy to sit down with you. We can sit via Zoom here, and we can discuss what maybe you need. Maybe you need a holistic plan like we offer, but maybe you just need something very basic. So let's talk about it. And if I can help you, I'd love to help you. Y'all have a great day, and we'll talk to you next video.